Welcome to my channel, Westpol, which stands for Western Politics. It's self-funded by me, and it's basically just looking at the West from another view. If you like my work, please do like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you have any questions or any other views, or if you want to let me know about anything else. Thank you. Guys, today we're going to be looking at feminism and how it's shaped the West and the ideologies of the West, and how it's actually influencing the whole world, because Western politics is quite predominant. First things first, feminism was just developed to basically give equal rights, respect and equal pay, opportunities, things like that to women, because in Western society pre-1900s women didn't even have the right to divorce, they couldn't vote, they couldn't be witnesses, so that was really harsh. So feminism was born out of that. There's three main types: liberal, social and radical feminists, and they basically have three waves based on those as well. So the first wave of feminism was, from my understanding and my beliefs, the first wave of feminism started around the 1900s, to do with votes, to do with basically women's right to be able to be witnesses and things like that. The second wave started off with equal pay and things like that, which was part of the first wave, so equal pay and all that. Then we started this new feminism, which is radical feminism, which started off around the 70s and had a really good grasp of Western society around the 90s. In books, what you'll be taught is the first wave of feminism started off around the 1850s, and basically it's been led by white women, and it's focused mainly on the right to vote. Now the second wave, it started around the early 60s, and that's where it started really changing, and it was about women's body rights and things like that. It was groundworks basically for radical feminism, which is where the third wave comes in. The third wave was from early 90s basically in the book, and it's to do with all the fair thinking about giving rights to everyone. And so basically what I see here happening is around the 70s there was a lot of communism and capitalism war. For that to be understood a bit more, you have to look at the right and left of politics. So towards the left is more the communist ideology, towards the right is more capitalistic, in short, in very simple words. So there was a war between communism and capitalism, and feminists at the time saw capitalism as the problem, the oppressors. Hence they had liberal feminists who believe, so the ideology for liberal feminism is basically the system, so the government, the system that oppresses women, and women had to work within the system to liberate themselves. So that was the ideology behind that. All of a sudden it changed from that, the system being the problem, so capitalism being the problem in the West, to men being the problem, patriarchy being the problem, where patriarchy is basically men being at top and men just having privilege of male privilege, and just everything is done for the men. And that basically, all of a sudden the target shifted from capitalism to men. So women started, instead of men and women working together and working against a capitalistic society where the wealth and the power stays with the wealthy, men and women started fighting each other, where radical feminism was born, where it says that the oppression of women happens by men. It doesn't matter what color, what socioeconomic status, like how much you earn and things like that. Where in politics you are, just because of what you got between your legs, you oppressed women. So that's basically the third, in my view. There's obviously a lot of problems with that, and a lot of men feel targeted, and that's not the best way to go forward. I think it's really wrecked the Western society, and a lot of people who are against feminism have really destructive things to say, like comparing them to witchcraft, killing their children, destroying capitalism, which I don't agree with. The current form of feminism is so vast, and it's so directed at men and how men are evil, and basically heterosexuality is under attack, and as a heterosexual man you're just bound to destroy women, and you're going to be a racist, and you're going to be white, and you're going to be this, and you're going to be that, which I highly disagree with. If you look at feminism at the moment, it's always been about the white women and their problems. It's never been about anything else. They try to be inclusive, but they're not. They come from a very top-down look at problems for women, and a white woman's problem is supposed to solve everyone's, whereas a black person, an Aboriginal person, a Indian person, an Arab person, their women are bound by their culture, their religion, their laws, and things like that. So a white woman's solution doesn't always fit everyone. So it really fails in that perspective. And I am basically going to be very cynical here. I think in the 70s, the government in the West, so America basically, so look, they were fighting on two fronts. They were fighting their own people, feminists, and the communists, which was basically everyone's equal, rah, wealth should be distributed, and women were like, well, you're the problem, and they shifted that. So now, if you look at what feminism has achieved over the 50 years, 50 years ago, women didn't have a job. They didn't have to work. Man had to work. That was good enough. Family was getting by. At the moment, women are working twice as hard. Most of the times, they have a job, and they come and cook and clean at home. And I just don't see the point of that. So all of a sudden, as a capitalistic person, let's say, and I'm sitting there going, I've got 100 people that I can get money from, tax them and make them work and things like that. Only 50 of them are available. So when there's only 50 people working, there's less people available for me to exploit. Whereas when out of the 100 people are working, let's say women and men, for example, they have more power to exploit people. Also, so they can pay you reduced wages and things like that, but also they have tapped into the full potential of society by making men and women work. But in turn, what that is doing is just destroying the role of women, the very important fundamental role of women, that is motherhood and looking after their children, and belittling that role to the point that women who have children and bear children and look after children and have children that are really responsible and grow up to be really good citizens of a society are not valued at all. Instead, what we see in movies are these lesbian figures who are against men, who are against reproduction, and against society is going to fail without women. As mothers are the most important in our society, and if we don't change that, West is going to slowly just destroy itself and destroy the rest of the world. In saying that, I'm not saying feminism didn't do anything good. Of course, there's a lot of things feminism has done for women that are really useful. For example, women being able to walk in a train station alone, catching a train in the middle of the night and things like that. But at the same time, it's really destroyed and come at an expense of men. We shouldn't be doing that. For example, if you look at, let's say, breast cancer, there's heaps of knowledge about breast cancer, funds going on. Glenn McGrath's got this foundation, everything's happening, a lot more awareness. Prostate cancer, nobody talks about it. And prostate cancer affects men. In Australia, over the past 10 years, boys are struggling at school. Girls are becoming really well, which is great, that's good. However, it's coming at an expense for boys. There's crazy stuff you see about women just talking about entitlement and this and that in the media as well. So I think we got to be really careful what's going on here, that if we don't give all these we get to a end result of equality, but at the expense of men. That's not equality. So if you get to equality and it's not equal, that's not equality. On the way you just killed everyone and got there, that's not equality. And also you have to look at the court system. The court system is absolutely biased towards women, and it's absolutely biased against men. If a woman charges you with something, she can just basically say anything and it sticks. It's really, really hard in the court systems. Anyways, I think that's enough rant for me. Thank you for your time. And I also wanted to just add that I have been inspired to do this channel by this Syrian girl. I think it's called Syrian Partisan. I will include her channel's link below. She's really good at looking what's the Western media doing and how it's covering up what it's doing everywhere in the world. And she has a really good look at the neoconservatives and the neoliberals in America. So and that's our next week what we'll be looking at, and I'll be leaving you with some diagram basically looking at the right and the left side of politics, which I'll be touching base and shining more light on in my next video. Thanks guys, hope you have a really nice day.